what's really been going on behind the scenes of the World Cup 2026. So welcome my YouTube collective. So I'm if I've got my timings right, this will get released on the day of the final. Now, if you are unaware, a lot of people, myself included, are seeing events like the World Cup for what they really are, bread and circus show. Okay, it's a Roman tactic. So when Rome was starting to fall and people were starting to get ready to revolt, they created the Colosseums. Let's watch the Christians go to the lions and all that. And it's been the same since then, really. Obviously, we're in a time of awakening. People are starting to understand more about the reality of the world around them. They're starting to understand their psychic abilities, and stuff like this is designed to throw people off. So in this case, it's in regard to things like the Epstein files. Unfortunately, people still don't seem to want to get their head around the fact that the world is run by baby-eating paedophiles. That's the reality of the situation. Okay, and they'll say to people like me, "Now you've been paranoid. It's fake news and stuff like that. It's not. Do your own research." There's been talk of there's a belief system that Portugal was supposed to win the World Cup because a lot of teams prior to that, the colours of the uniform of the kit was matching the logo of the World Cup, and this year it was Portugal. People will say, well, that's obviously a load of hokum because Portugal got knocked out. However, what us down the rabbit holers are saying now is, well, because we got wind of it, and we were reposting it and sharing it across places, they've changed it. They've decided to change it, okay? And Nike released an advert, I'm not sure if it was just before or just after, with the tagline, RIP, RIP, in capitals, so more like RIP, rest in peace, the script. So they're saying we've killed the script, okay? There's been a lot of, obviously, controversy around Argentina and Messi. Messi has got connections to Israel. People have found that on the footage, at one point, one of the Argentinian flag came up and it was the sun. It's been replaced with the Masonic symbol. It was just a very small clip of it. When the players come out, the flags and the centre circle create an eye. Okay, so there's a lot of imagery and symbolism already in there. So we're going to do a kind of targeted individual / psychic spying reading. So it's going to be a bit longer than your standard ones. The standard ones are 8 cards per spread, and they're 25 quid. So if you want one of those, you can find the link down in the description of the video. So spread 1 is what's the intention? What's the intention behind all of this? I mean, it's for me it's fairly obvious, but we'll get some additional backup on that. I'm going to use the Hermetic Tarot deck because there's a bit of occult symbology on this in itself. So what's the intention? And then we'll go on to how it's going to pan out. So we've got 10 of Wands, Lord of Oppression. 7 of Cups in the reverse position, Lord of Illusionary Success. 6 Pentacles in the reverse, Lord of Material Success. 9 of Wands in the reverse position, Lord of Great Strength. Knight of Wands in the reverse, Lord of Flame and Lightning. So 10 of Wands, Lord of Oppression. So that one's fairly self-explanatory. Now on this deck, the swords, and they've got some kind of like it's wands. Sorry, Lord of Oppression, 10 of Wands. So the wands are creating like this lattice. So it's almost like an old fancy jailer's door. So they're wanting to keep the greater collective in check. Okay. 7 of Cups in the reverse position, Lord of Illusionary Success. Now, that's in the reverse position. So what it feels like is, I think that we're in that time where stuff's being deliberately put in our faces. It's almost like it's a technique that they use, that they believe that if you admit to something, but you do it in a way whereby it's a little bit cryptic, such as the rip the script thing, people will accept it. And if people just accept it, it's almost going, right, well, we've done this. This was wrong. This was bad. This was evil. But look, see, people don't mind. The greater collective don't mind, and it's got a little bit of an air of that to it. They're deliberately putting in your face. You take sport by and large, and I know that people don't want to admit it because it's their escapism, but sport by and large is very, very corrupt. You take cycling, for example. Virtually every cycling team is backed by a big pharma company, and we know what they're like. They're there to keep you sick, and they pump the cyclists with these performance enhancing drugs, which at the time can't be tested because it's not known if they're illegal or not. Okay, so they're testing it out on these performance athletes, and then later on down the line, such as with Lance Armstrong, etc., they then go, you've been using a banned substance. If that cyclist, if they're a big name, they haven't been sticking to the script, then they get exposed and outed. You take boxing, for example, all these kind of, Jake Paul and stuff like that. It's very clearly rigged. It's very clearly set up, and they're literally putting it in your face. It's ridiculous. The illusion's leaving, but people are so stupefied that they don't want to see behind it. Okay. We then got Six of Pentacles in the reverse, Lord of material success. So it's to stop us from gaining that power, that material success for ourselves. Nine of Wands in the reverse position, Lord of great strength, to remove our strength. Now, with the Knight of Wands in the reverse there, Lord of flame and lightning. I think this is to stop the charge towards, revealing. Well, this is the irony, though. These people have been revealed for who they really are, but people are in denial. It's to stop the charge forwards. Okay. Let's continue. High Priestess of the Silver Star. Ace of Swords in the reverse, Lord of the root of the powers of air. Death card in the reverse, child of the great transformers. Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, Queen of the Thrones of the Earth. So the High Priestess followed up by the Ace of Swords in the reverse. I think that this comes at a time where people are becoming more kind of spiritually aware, more psychically connected. And I feel like this is all part of getting us to shift our mindset away from that, okay? And it's about them avoiding death, as in death of the situation, death of that reality. Now, as I always say, I work with the Hindu deities, and you got Brahma the creator, Vishnu the preserver, Shiva the destroyer. We are supposed to be in the time of the destroyer. We are supposed to be destroying, killing off the current reality around us, seeing beyond the illusion. But the elites, the powers that be, these baby-eating, raping monsters, are keeping us in Vishnu mode, because that's all they can do, okay? Queen of Pentacles in the reverse there. It's got a little bit of a feel of kind of keeping people in their hidey hole, specifically the feminine energy, okay? And if you've seen my attack on the divine feminine reading that I did about women missing or having double periods, and my belief it's something to do with CERN, it's all an attack on that, because the divine feminine has been crushed by toxic masculine patriarchy, such as the church, such as the Catholic Church, such as all major religions. They're based on a very patriarchal God. They all call God He. God isn't a person, it's his energy, and it's because the divine feminine has been crushed and put in a box and hidden away. And they know that we are in the period where people are supposed to be bringing out that divine feminine energy and knowing it and living it and protecting it. Okay, and this is what annoys me with the spiritual industry. This is what spiritual practitioners are supposed to be here to do, either as healing, to heal those wounds of the divine feminine within people. Okay. Or as people like me exposing it, standing up into that divine masculine energy, being a protector, shining a light on the situation. You look at other readers in the UK, there's very few that do readings like this. They tend to be more US based. Okay? So people within the spiritual industry need to wake up to the fact that they are here. They are supposed to be warriors of the light. They are supposed to be bringing the charge, exposing this stuff, exposing the corruption. Why is it that I'm virtually the only reader in the UK who talks about the Epstein files? It's ridiculous. Fear. Complete fear. Okay? And these people need to start stepping up. I'm not saying do content like I do, but do your fucking job. Do what you're here to do, right? Anyway, Queen of Swords in the reverse position, Queen of the Thrones of the Air. What I'm going to say here is it's about creating an illusion, getting in our heads, being distracted. Temperance card. Now, this is normally the alignment card, Daughter of the Reconcilers. What I'm more drawn to, though, is because she's pouring water and lightning into the chalice there, it's almost stirring up this confusion. There's something also about kind of feeding that debased need of greed within us. We're humans. We're greedy by nature. It's about being aware of that. Princess of Pentacles in the reverse position. Princess of the Echoing Hills. Hold fire on that one. Not sure where I'm going with that one. It's obviously Earth energy again. It's in the reverse position. Princess of Wands in the reverse position. Nine of Pentacles, Lord of Material Gain. So yeah, again, we've got that feminine energy. It feels like a lot of people, they'd got as far as stepping into their kind of princess energy when it comes to their feminine energies. So this whole distraction technique is designed to, so you take football. Obviously, when England lose, rates of domestic violence go through the fucking roof. It's very much a sport built on kind of toxic masculine energy. You take the I was going to say the theatres, but that's what it is really, isn't it? The stadiums, they are amphitheatres of raw emotion, and they're feeding off that. Because please remember, believe me, don't believe me, I don't care. You are just a battery to these people. They use your energy. They feed off it. Okay. And things like stadiums, obviously, they're a melting pot of that, because it's literally a split between joy and frustration, happiness and anger. And it's kind of, temperance card there. It's about mixing that all into some pot so that they can feed off it. Okay. Nine of Pentacles, Lord of Material Gain. This is just about more power, more greed, more gain for FIFA and the people that they're friends. You look, Mr. Trump gets a player for the USA put back on because he had a word with his mate, the head of FIFA, who's been pictured sat with somebody who is connected and named in the Epstein files. Okay, we need to wake up to this, people. It's an illusion. I don't care if you like football. I've had it on in the background, because it is a bit of a distraction, because I can't sit here and think about this stuff all day. It will lead to you to go gaga, right? But it's about understanding and seeing for what it is. My Lucy was like, aren't you nervous? Aren't you tense? I'm like, no, because I can see it for what it is. It's just a game. It's just a game. For me, it's no more different than walking the dog and seeing people on a Sunday kicking a ball around the field. It's just a game, Overall outcome card. Where are we? Six of Swords in the reverse, Lord of Earned Success. Okay, so it's about stopping the success that we can have if we wake up to realise that we hold the power. You are a divine spark. You have choices. You have decisions. You can sit and do nothing all day if you want and bitch and moan about it, or you can start making a shift and a difference. Now, it's interesting. Kind of a bit of a side note, a couple of my slightly more older counterparts in the community that I get on with have recently been posting these posts about, we're living in a world whereby, it's becoming unfair to the elderly because everything's run by apps, everything's auto-generated, and I completely agree with them. However, the point I will make here is that they had the chance to stand up to this new world order and to this kind of George Orwellian nightmare that we are in now, back when they were younger. So they can't now sit and bitch and moan about the world that they have allowed to be created. And in my opinion, okay, they should have been doing more what I'm doing now. Now, if they were doing, and they were truth speaking in their time, because I don't know if they were or not, much like I am, well, good for them. They did their part. It's sad that they didn't win, but at least they did their part. And this is why I can hold my head up high in a spiritual sense and in a spiritual industry sense and saying I am doing my part, regardless of people like me as a person, regardless of people like my reading style or not. I am doing my part. I'm exposing the corruption, okay? And more people need to start getting on board with that, right? Because down the line, if this all goes tits up and we end up in concentration camps and overly heavily monitored by everything around us, then you've only got yourselves to blame. Simple as that, right? Obstacles or blockages. Eight of Wands, Lord of Swiftness. Okay, hold fire. Removing any blockages. Chariot in the reverse. Lord of the Triumph of Light. Okay. Okay, what this feels like is the obstacle or blockage here for you, the person watching this, people out there in the greater world, and spiritual practitioners, etc., is assuming that something is going to come in and change this for you. No, you have to be the light bearer. Nothing more, nothing less. Right, so that's just backed it up for me what the intention is. Let's see how things are going to pan out after this. Is there going to be any real change, or are yet again the elite's going to be in full control and they'll just continue with the bread and circus acts? Because what you've got to remember is, with things like the World Cup, it inspires a new generation to get behind it, especially in countries where sport is more focused on, you know, something outside of football. And much like school, it's all about programming. Because if you put these players on telly, you know, they've got logos and advertising all over them. They're millionaires. They're literal millionaires. We live in a greedy, materialistic world whereby that is what people aspire to. So you are then programming your kids to aspire to that. I want to be like Messi. I want to be like Ronaldo. And they get sucked into this. Now, the reality is, I remember being at school. We were in a PE lesson. And one of the teachers said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And obviously most of the kids there, most of the boys were saying, I want to be a professional football player. And this teacher, you might say it's wrong, but I think he did the right thing. He said, I can guarantee you right now, not one of you will be a professional football player. You're not good enough. You might think you are. You don't have the talent. Okay. And that's the reality of the situation, okay? Because people then lead these deluded lives and continue to look up to these puppets who get paid millions and millions of pounds to kick a ball around the field. Like I say, I don't have an issue with football. I can enjoy it sometimes. But it's the system, the structure that is so very, very corrupt, and we need to look past that. The sad fact is people are so nullified and stupefied, and they go, well, yeah, I know what it is really. You're not telling me anything new. Well, why continue to support it? Right, if you like football, right, so I've got a friend, he's called Matt. Old work colleague, and he does drunk punk jokes. He's got a channel on here and online as well. And he's got into football, and he supports his local team, Long Eaton United, grassroots, right? And I tip my hat off to him. You know, he supports Tottenham as well, you know, but he goes out and he supports it for the love of the game. The sad fact is, too many people just follow the big clubs, the big teams, because they want to vicariously live through these millionaires. You know, the reality is, if your team wins, you're not winning that trophy. It's not yours. You've not put the hard work in. You've paid your money. You've turned up and you've shouted from the sidelines. Nothing more, nothing less. And you can say, well, yes, that money goes towards supporting the structure and the club, but it's corrupt. You know? Right, anyway, let's see how this is going to pan out. Right, Seven of Cups. Right, so we're back at Lord of Illusionary Success, Emperor in the reverse. Excuse me, Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. Ace of Cups. Nine of Swords. Right, so after all the shoving it in our faces, the illusion will then be put back on. Messi's going to, you know, Argentina will no doubt win. Messi will be seen as the greatest footballer of all time, and people will feed into that illusion. They'll forget, much like the Epstein files, much like the P. Diddy case, etc. They will choose to forget. They will choose to go back into the illusion. Emperor in the reverse, that is going to then allow the toxic masculine energy to run riot and continue. Ace of Pentacles in the reverse, Lord of the roots of the powers of earth. I just want to say that the system, people will remain ungrounded, unconnected. Ace of Cups, Lord of the roots of the powers of water. What it feels like is it's about then getting people just to kind of feed off things in an emotional sense, okay? Nine of Swords, Lord of Despair and Cruelty. That will just continue. Okay, that will continue. Let's continue. Two of Swords, Lord of Peace Restored. Seven of Wands in the reverse, Lord of Valour. The Foolish Man, Spirit of the Ether. Knight of Cups, Lord of water, Waves and Water. So Two of Swords, Lord of Peace restored. We're not talking about actual peace here, we're talking about illusionary peace, okay? The veil will be put back on, people will go back into their normal lives. Come the new season, people will then just continue to support their club football, normally Premier League only, and the cycle repeats, okay? Seven of Wands in the reverse, Lord of Valour. The lack of integrity, this cruel, twisted behaviour will continue, and the greater collective will be the Foolish Man. Okay, I don't normally call the Fool a fool, but in this case I'm doing so. And what I'm drawn to is he looks thick as pig shit, and he's holding out a flower. It's almost like, and well, we've got an alligator at the bottom there as well. So just continuing to say, take my money. Let me consume. Knight of Cups, Lord of Waves and Water. Not sure which way I want to go with him yet. Three of Swords, Lord of Sorrow. Empress, Daughter of the Mighty Ones. Devil in the reverse. Right, okay, interesting. So with the Knight of Cups, I think that there might be some kind of offer that comes in. It feels a little bit more in an ethereal sense, because for me the knights in this deck have wings, so it's almost like this angelic energy. Lord of Sorrow, so we've got the Empress there, so the divine feminine, and then we've got the devil in the reverse. I might need some clarifiers for this. So obviously the devil card's the devil energy, what's going off. So we're starting to topple that. And in the centre of the devil, we've got the pentacle. So in the upright position, it's inverted. Reverse position, bringing in balance. Bringing back and restoring that good magic, right? As I'm looking at the Knight of Cups there, I kind of want to say it's almost like a poisoned chalice. It's almost like somebody at the top of the tower, so somebody in FIFA or a world leader or more than that, are going to be given this almost like poison chalice from the divine, but it's going to be close, it's going to be massive, it's going to be a bit of a Trojan horse. And it's going to lead to sorrow for them and release the divine feminine, which is going to start breaking that devil energy. Let's continue. Six of Pentacles, Lord of Material Success. Four of Pentacles in the reverse, Lord of Earthly Power. Hold fire on that. Overall outcome card. Hanged Man. Right, so it feels a little bit like that devil energy will try to... It's a bit of an illusion, because it's almost like the divine... The Empress energy is going to start coming through, and that's going to start tipping the scales against the devil energy. And it's almost like the way the devil energy is going to try and take control is by kind of giving this illusion of this material success, because this is all these people are bothered about. They're just about all about money, power, and greed, right? But they're going to start to lose their earthly power, and then that's going to put them in the Hanged Man. Now in this deck, you've got the kind of cross in the upright. And then in the reverse is the Ankh. Now the Ankh is a symbol associated with Egypt. The Egyptian deities come from the Sumerian deities, the Anunnaki. Okay, and they are the people, they are the souls that have been in power since day dot. So it's almost like, because it's not like a Christian cross, it's not like a Catholic cross. It's more of a kind of pagan cross, if you want to call it that. Or Saxon cross or something along those lines. But for me, that's talking about flipping the script. He's also got the as above, so below Israeli Star of David on his ass. Okay, just saying. Obstacles or blockages. Nine of Wands, Lord of Great Strength. Okay, hold fire on that one. Removing any blockages. We've got two. Five of Swords, Lord of Defeat, King of Cups, Prince of the Chariots of Water. So what this feels like is, it feels like the blockage is if the feminine energies feel like they've got the strength to take this on their own. What they need the masculine energies on an emotional level to start standing up and rising. Okay, there are some of us out here. Okay, I'd like to class myself as one. I am more comfortable in my feminine energies. I've always said that. However, I am now in my masculine power. Okay, and I can do my part by exposing this stuff. I can do my part by discussing the horrors that happens to women and children. Okay, I'm not the right person to be on the front line. I'm not the right person to be screaming from the rooftops out there in the real world. Why? Because I'm seen as a lunatic, and it would do more damage to the cause. So what we need proper, true masculine energies who can fit into the matrix without being too kind of pointed out and ridiculed like people like me, to stand up, to stand by the feminine energies, and to take charge to protect the women and to protect the children, and not in some bullshit reform way where they're all getting outed for having indecent images of children, but in a proper way, the true ones. So if you're a masculine energy and you're watching this, it's time to start standing up. It's time to pull your head out your arse. It's time to pull your head away from the television watching this crap and see it for what it really is. Because if we can properly shift and change this and remove the corruption, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So think about your kids and your kids' kids in this case. Then we can get sport back to what it's supposed to be. Competition. Pure competition. On that moment in his day in history, who is the best? Who is the best? Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. So there you go. Spread 1 pretty much, confirmed what we already knew. Spread 2, it's going to take some time, but I think there's going to be some ethereal energy that comes in to tip the scales. Okay, I don't really want to put a time scale on that. I don't think it's going to be within the next 6 months, like my normal readings are, but there will be a shift and a change. Okay, so there you go. So if you enjoyed that, don't forget to comment, subscribe as well for me, people, and like it. Like I say, if you want a personalised reading, there's loads of different options available, same day guaranteed from £10, or you can book your phone and video chat. Just hop down to the video description. It's 11:11 as I'm recording this, just clocked it down on the laptop timer, and get yours. And until next time, we will delve more into the weird and wonderful here at Urban Warlock Healing. Good luck out there. Ta-ta for now.